Welcome to the Grit Reapers, the podcast for aspiring online entrepreneurs that cuts through all the crap in the online business world and dishes out the raw and real truth about what it really takes to have a successful online business. No sugarcoating, no get-rich-quick schemes, just honest advice with a healthy dose of humor and hope.
We're your hosts, Gail and Candice, two online entrepreneurs who've been there, done that, and lived to tell the tale. So if you're looking for straight talk, practical tips, and the occasional reality check to get your online business moving, you're in the right place. Let's get down to business.
So welcome back, everybody. Welcome to our listeners. We're so excited to have you here, learning all about the truth, the real stuff, the grit that it takes to launch and run a successful online business. Hi, Gail.
Hey, Cans.
And hi, Costa.
Hi. Thanks for having me, guys.
We're really excited to have you on our show today. Thanks for giving your time and coming to share your story with us. Very excited to have my personal friend Costa Carastavrakis with us. I'm not even Greek, but I practiced saying that surname a lot when we met.
Brilliant.
And yeah, Costa's a good friend of mine and is very familiar with sharing his story in front of crowds, in front of people. We'll tell you a bit about what he does and whatnot. But today's episode, we are really just showcasing and learning through storytelling. So learning from people, in this case, Costa, about the human side, the human characteristics of grit. So it's not a business episode. We're not speaking about funnels and content or any of that stuff. We are really just speaking to a person who's displayed characteristics when life's handed you something less than ideal and turned it into the most incredible experiences and whatnot. So thanks for coming, Cos. We really appreciate your openness and coming to share your story with us. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I'm ready.
Awesome. So, I mean, Costa's written a book. He's a published author. He's a how do you say it? A restaurateur?
Restaurateur, yeah.
Restaurateur.
Yes.
Okay. He's I don't know if you've a published poet, but I know you've written a lot of poetry and most recently got into the world of stand-up comedy and has traveled the world actually, doing his show in the States, here in South Africa, in Greece. He's been all over. So he's really a man of many talents. But if we just back up a little bit, Cos, maybe you can just share a bit about your story. The book is from Meth to Marathons, and it's your story, kind of the first bit of your story, the bits that I know you kind of where we met when you were cleaning up, you were getting sober, and then got into this world of fitness and whatnot, and then all the other stuff happened. But maybe you can just share with our listeners today a bit about your story, a bit about the path you've been on, and then, we can chat a bit about how you got to where you got to today afterwards.
Okay, well, my story is a tough one to hear for many people because I've lived many different lives, and I like to think of my life as, because I'm going to live past 100. My first third of my life was getting to know who the hell I was and messing it up. Because my first third of my life, I spent a large part of it drunk. I spent a large part of it very confused about my identity, confused about my place in the world, and addicted to drugs towards the end of it. And I was a very high functioning individual, university, great job, even started my own business, very successfully ran it, but I was always running on empty. I was running also on self-will. I had to make everything happen, and I had to control everything in the world around me, and that's not possible. And after a while, you're going to need some assistance, and alcohol doesn't help. And so I turned to hard drugs. And for me, hard drugs took the form of anything with the letter C: cocaine, cat, crystal meth, all the horrible, ghastly ones. There is nothing glamorous about any of them. And unfortunately, crystal meth brought me to my knees in my early 30s. And it's a very, very, very powerful drug. All drugs are very powerful. I've seen people brought to their knees on cannabis. I've seen families destroyed with dacha, let alone crystal meth. But crystal meth has a particular danger to it. It changes the way you think. It changes your reality, and life becomes something that it isn't. You're seeing things that are not there, and you think you're going mad. And crystal meth brought me to my knees, in a lot of pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain is actually what I was going through. And one day the pain was too much to handle. And I knew I could see the rest of my life in front of me. I probably had about another year to live. The money had run out. I was now probably going to start selling things and borrowing money from people. I was going to become that guy. And then the health was going to pack up. So I was either going to let up in jail or die. Those were my two options. And I could see both of them coming. And when you're hooked on drugs, it doesn't bother you. You're like, okay, well, if it comes, it comes. Let me use some more. And then I got a small moment of clarity. A tiny, tiny, tiny little window of clarity that told me that this is not the way my life was meant to turn out. This was not how it was meant to go. And that tiny little moment was all the moments of love I'd gotten in my life, all those moments of acceptance, all those moments of peace that I had in my life. That tiny gap, one or two of them came through that made me feel like I was worth something. And I took that tiny gap, and with that tiny gap is also mixed with a healthy dose of fear. Now, many people will say you mustn't live a life in fear. Fear is debilitating. Fear, for me, was a motivator. I was scared of dying. And when you're scared of dying, you will do anything to save your life. And death was near. So I decided that one day, it's none of my ideas are original. I borrow from everybody else. Something called the gift of desperation. I was so desperate to try anything to never feel like that again. And this gift of desperation came with a healthy dose of fear. And that fear drove me to blindly doing anything I could. I made a promise to myself, anything anybody told me I would do. If you told me to drink purple liquid and it would get me off drugs, I would have done it. And I found a program and started listening to lots of people and just literally put my future in their hands because they knew better than me and followed their example. And one day at a time, with a lot of fear and a tiny glimmer of hope. That's what you need. A little bit of hope where one other person believes in you. And then a ton of fear was just enough to get me clean. And one day turned into a few thousand days later. One day at a time, I started putting the pieces back together again, slowly. And I came to a lot of realizations. One of them we'll discuss now, the grit it takes to go places in life. And that's my drug journey. It's a mental health issue. It came with a healthy dose of, a very unhealthy dose of, a very unhealthy dose of depression, anxiety, and then PTSD. All resurfaced and started a punching bag inside of me, all of my emotions. And now not only did I need to stop using drugs, I needed to now embark and manage a mental health journey, as if being hooked on drugs isn't enough. And now that I think about it, with so much distance between me and it, I say so much distance, but my heart still races when I talk about it because it's still very much a part of me. so much distance between me, and yet I look at it and I go, gee whiz, that's a lot. How the hell did I do it? How the hell did I stop using drugs and apply myself to a program and then tackle my mental health? And when you asked me to join this podcast, I literally froze, and I was like, oh gosh, I'm going to give like such obscure answers, like like it's a miracle. Okay. Like it's a miracle. And I want to talk about miracles.
Well, that's not
because
obscure.
well, to some people it's like we were like, oh yeah, it's a miracle. He got clean. But I want to talk about believing in miracles. And you can insert the word miracle, believe in yourself. You can say believe in God. You can say believe in a higher power. You can believe in anything. The point is knowing that things could get better. But so just having that little bit of knowing that something can go better and holding on to it for dear life. And I believe in miracles, and because I'm one of them. And if you just sit quietly enough and look at the sun go up every morning, we are delivered that miracle. Look at your child's eyes. I mean, we can't explain that. And there are miracles all around us, and that's where actually having a little bit of belief, call it magic if you like, that something can happen to you. And that's what I accessed on a daily basis. Like maybe a better life is coming towards me, just maybe in the beginning. And then it became actually a better life is coming towards me. And then it became, I am worth a better life. And now I'm in the phase of I am living my best life possible. Because that little miracle just widened. You know, like when you make a 1 degree change, today it's tiny, but in many days' time, it's colossal and massive. So I made that one little change.
Well, I mean, I think what you're describing sounds like this belief in positive possibility. Like it's there, the possibility exists that this could work, you know, like, and that is hopeful. That gives you hope, and incremental changes. Rather than trying to do it all at once and get to your best life in 24 hours. I mean, you haven't even like detoxed from your last drug binge and you're trying to now live your best. It's like, it's not realistic. It's like, and I think that's the beauty of those 12-step programs. It's like, you don't have to know how you're going to do this next week. Just worry about today. Like, just get through today and we'll worry about tomorrow, you know?
And the world is best understood when you slow down. And drugs just speeds everything up. Business speeds everything up. Life speeds everything up. Motherhood, etc. And that's where that's where I get lost, and a lot of other people get lost, is when you slow things down enough. When I slow things down enough, my business problems make sense. I get sent information on how to solve things. I can be receptive to new ideas. I recharge to give me energy to keep moving forward. Slowing down for me now is one of my biggest assets in productivity.
Oh, I love that. I mean, I think that's spot on.
Because I think, so Costa, what do you do to slow down? Because I realized this really for the first time this year properly, that actually it's in the rest you take between your daily business, and when everything's coming into your brain, you have no room to actually solve. You just responding to this and this and this. So I go out and I mountain bike and I run and I walk the dogs, and we've just actually put 2 hammock chairs in the tree, and I just sit there and stare into space. So what do you do to slow down, Costa?
So slowing down can be a whole lot of activities that people do. I've tried meditation. I keep trying it, and I will die trying meditation. I don't get it right. But the biggest thing for me in slowing down is giving myself a break. in saying, I'm doing the best that I can. What can possibly go wrong? So slowing down for me sometimes is going out and with tons of friends and having a massive dinner and enjoying and being super social. Slowing down is sometimes overeating chocolates. It's giving myself a break from having to be perfect. Slowing down for me is giving myself a pink slip saying, you want to slow down, go for a run. I know it's like the antithesis of slowing down, but it's about giving myself a break. And because everything around me doesn't give me a break. Instagram tells me I'm not good enough. Facebook tells me I'm not. I haven't read the latest conspiracy. I don't know enough, and I'm not militant enough about something. LinkedIn tells me I'm just stupid. TikTok tells me I'm not the funniest. Everything out there is telling me I'm not good enough, and then I give myself permission to say, you know what, I am good enough. And then I have everything I want. And that's when I really slow down. So slowing down isn't necessarily about getting into my zen, because when I force my zen, it never comes. Okay. For me, slowing down is more about creativity. I really apply myself creatively. I journal every morning. I write my 3 pages. That actually starts my day in the right way. And when I feel frenetic at the end of the day, I'll write a little more. I do a lot of creativity and mood boards and vision boards. I vision board everything. Every month has a new vision board, and I let the creativity unbundle and untangle the mess to give me the energy to sort out more.
Lovely.
So give yourself permission.
If I can ask you, because I know a little bit about your when you decided to get clean and how you did it. And I mean, you mentioned when you were chatting that you joined a program, and I think what I want to point out to our listeners is that Costa didn't actually go into like a rehabilitation program. He didn't go into an outpatient program. He didn't go into an inpatient program. He when I say he cleaned up by himself, what I mean is like he attended meetings. The program he got into was like a 12-step program through meetings that are free and held all over the city and whatnot. And it's generally not the way counselors and therapists would advise addicted people to clean up, right? Because it's really challenging to do it that way. It's far less stressful, less there's less temptation if you're actually restrained or constrained, like in an environment where there are people around you and you literally are not able to get access to whatever it is that you're on. And so generally most therapists would say not sure that's the best idea, but Costa did it this way, and whenever I talk, and I always come back to that in my mind, as it takes like a certain kind of person to come out of an addiction to a psychiatric like mind fuck, like where you came from, and then decide, you know what, like I don't want to die, and I'm going to clean up, and I'm going to just do it like I'm going to like go to all these meetings and whatnot. I mean, it's really amazing. And I still think about it like with a lot of respect for you. I'm so curious to know, like, what do you think? What qualities do you think helped you stay committed to that goal? Like, how did you do that?
I think I have a certain personality trait that doesn't like options. I'm the guy who does my grocery shopping at the Woolworths engine. Don't give me 500 veggies. Okay, it's green or orange. All right, I don't feel like I hate carrots, so I'll take the broccoli. I don't have options. Too many options are what messes up my thinking and my life. And for recovery, I saw only one option. Rehab kind of was an option, but I didn't explore it. I didn't know. I only had that. I was like, okay, well, there's only one option. Don't let any other option in. Focus. And I think it allows me to be laser focused. Like I will watch, if you put 5 DVDs in front of me, I'll watch all 5. Take me into a DVD shop and ask me to pick one. out of the few thousand, I've left DVD shops with nothing in my hand. I'm that old, everybody.
I was just going to say, are there like
Nothing.
still DVD shops around?
Back in the day, Costa, we're closing. You've been here for an hour. You haven't chosen a DVD. And I would walk out empty-handed because I was faced with so many options. So at the very basic part, there's something in my personality that doesn't like options, that is very easy to hook into one thing, like blindly. And that's what I did. I was just like, okay, there's no options. Let me just, and not having too many options and focusing on one thing is such a big life thing for me. It's gotten me everywhere. As soon as I start putting in options, I look at my friends whose lives are a bit messy. They're forever entertaining different options and different ideas and different ways and listening to different people and whatever. There's no right or wrong way. But there is a way, find a way. And I think that it's something inside of me that cut out all other options. And I just was like, well, this is the only option. I had friends who were going to rehabs. I never listened to them. I was like, I've got my thing. Thanks. I'm committed. I have a commitment mindset that is also something that has grown over time. And I didn't look around. I didn't shop around. I think we shop around too much these days. I think we have far too many options. And particularly that we don't need in life. I think it's it's a modern crisis that we're in. And I didn't give myself options. I think that articulates it. I've never thought of this before until yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like from what you shared with us, you really didn't want to die, which tells us that you did want something. So like you wanted something and then chose a lane and just like remained really committed to getting there, and I think that's like, it's an incredible thing. I think watching you then you got into your whole fitness journey. Were you always very active? Were you always active as a youngster? Or like, how did you get into now, oh my God, I'm going to go start training for Ironman and triathlons and, and then you became laser focused and like went for it, So tell us about that a bit.
So yeah, I had no sporting background. I was a smoker from 15. I couldn't bear exercise. When you stop drugs, you have a lot of free time on your hands and a lot of free energy. And the energy woke me up early in the mornings. My partner at the time started running, so I started plodding along next to him. And I just ran one block and it gave me endorphins. It made me feel good. I was like, the next day, let me try run 2 blocks. And I was like, there's something with this incremental stuff. And the Just for Today program of recovery for me was like, hang on, maybe I can just apply that to this. And let me just today do another block. And let me not look at the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day. And the incremental gains aspect of it got me doing more, because the body is that kind of organism that if you push it a little bit further than yesterday, you can do a little bit further the following day. And that's how the organism works. And so I was like, okay, well, let's just go. And of course, knowing me, I just went and I gave myself no options. But I set some very low goals. In my first 6 months, I wanted to run, not walk, run an entire 5 kilometers. Even if I was trotting, but I wasn't allowed to walk. I was allowed to shuffle and run, but not allowed to walk. And I did it. I finished it in like 40 minutes or something, 45 minutes, 5Ks. That's like a bad time. No, 50 minutes, I think it was. And I was so happy with myself. I rewarded myself with lots of food and pats on the back because it also, it's my accomplishments. I've learned to celebrate myself and my accomplishments and not look at everybody else, because there's always somebody younger, thinner, hotter, faster than you. And then I set my goal from a 5K to a 10K. And then before I knew it, I was doing full Ironmans and loving them, like to the point where I miss those days now. But I achieved what I wanted to in the time. And I did 5 years of really good exercise. I treated my body. I made myself. I honored my body that I'd abused for so long, and I achieved what I wanted. And again, I did it through. Yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, but yeah, and I committed to one coach. I committed to one training program. I had one type of food I was eating. Everything was just simple,
That's
just
simple,
basics.
Yeah.
Keeping things very simple, you can go so much further. And one of the reasons I gave up triathlon was because I can't stand triathletes. They're all about the tons of gear and the multitude of ways that you can get shit done and whatever. I'm like, go away. You know, I've got one bike, it's mine. Like, I don't care about other bikes. I don't care about everybody else's plans and whatever. And they're just really bloody annoying. Some of them I still love as best friends, but yeah. Again, the determination, the one day at a time, the incremental gains, and the laser focus. That's what got me over the line.
And I love that idea of like low goals. Just set yourself low goals, because then you achieve them, which makes you feel like, okay, I can probably do the next thing, you know, as opposed to like, I've never run before. Okay, I'm going to enter Ironman. Like, no. Yeah.
And Cans, just sitting here listening to you, Costa, I can just see so many commonalities in what we speak about all the time, Cans.
Yeah.
Costa, I was just thinking to myself, you should be a business coach. You're telling people to like take that little bit of hope and like know that you can do it, and just like do it a little bit. Focus on one thing, all those shiny object syndrome, and we just go off on this offer and that offer, and this is not working properly, so I'm going to try this. And yeah, just celebrate like the gains and the wins that you are making. And maybe I'm guilty of this. Don't expect 15 people in your first webinar. You're just going to have maybe 3 in your first webinar, your first paid program, you know, and then next time the 5 and then 10. And so Costa, this is amazing. See, yeah.
I find I'm my triathlon coach at the time. I went on his training camp, and when I went to the so-called camp, we were only 2 athletes. That's all, 2. I think he prepared for like 20 people to arrive. Only 2 rocked up. He now has a business where he gets 50 to 60 people coming to a camp. He's got hundreds of athletes that he coaches. He started off with me and my friend Clint as his first 2 athletes, because it starts with one. And I'm going to add something else to the pot. Be careful who you listen to. Be careful who you listen to, because if I listened to people, I would never have been able to stop drugs, because people say you can't. The odds are against you. You'll never finish Ironman. You'll never get published. The amount of times I heard you're never going to get published, I just had to stop listening to those people. You'll never make it on stage. It's impossible to get stage time in Los Angeles. Like all of these no's. Like I don't listen to the naysayers. You've got to have a little bit of madness, and this is what I love about Candace. You've got to have our madness. You've got to believe in the impossible, and you've got to have a bit of cuckoo in you that goes, oh, you mean it can't be done? Game on. And I've got that. And I've got that little bit of madness, not megalomania, not hyperactive manic phases. No, I'm not talking about grandiosity. I'm talking about, I mean, Trevor Noah was pedaling the same stage as I'm pedaling now 10 years ago in Joburg. All right, look where he is now. He's only there because he believed he could be there. He's also very good and committed to his craft. But the biggest piece there is he believed he could be there. And as such, I've unfollowed many local people, many local comedians, many local people who always tell me it's not possible. Get rid of them, people. Get rid of them.
Yeah, I think Gail and I also talk about that a lot. Like, you've got to have your eyes and ears open and be very selective about like who you're listening to, who you're letting into your head. So like, again, another parallel. But I do think, because, I think the quality that when I think about you, I listen to your story, and I mean, I've read Costa's book. We will definitely share the link where, I mean, it's like just the most, I mean, I read it in a day. I literally read it in a day. I was like binge reading, and it's just like an incredibly inspiring and painful story to read. But and I think what you're describing is like, yeah, it is that grit. It's that like, I am going to do whatever it takes, and I'm not going to give up, unless I feel like it is time to give up. You know, like there's almost like something that you're describing around, no matter what happens to me, no matter the difficulty, yes, it's going to be sore. Yes, it's painful. Yes, it's all of that stuff, but I'm going to take what has happened and turn it into something else, or go after what I want with like a relentlessness, you know?
And I've got there's a saying that I wrote it down one day and I live by. There is no substitute for immaculate preparation.
Oh.
Now, immaculate is not like, oh, I'm prepared. No, when you're immaculately prepared, you know when you're immaculately prepared, and you know when you're not. And there's no substitute for it. It's what it takes. It's a law of life. Show up or leave, you know, like, and whatever I do now, I go, is this my best? If it is, what can possibly go wrong? What can possibly go wrong? I'm doing my best. What can go wrong? And there's no substitute for immaculate preparation. And you know, people, we're all grown-ups here. You all know when you're putting your whole heart into it, and when you're not. Yeah. And when you're not, you're just wasting your time and everybody else's time.
Yeah. And I think there's also something about preparation. I mean, Gail, hello. I mean, how often do we speak about this, Gail? It's like, you know, you can't just run into things like, and that as like having an addictive personality, or people that can relate to just like being all or nothing people. When you're in it, you're like in it, you know, there's often an impulsivity that comes with that, you know, this like you know, there's like schoolboy novelty to new things, and we just like run in, and I mean, that's okay, but it's also like, yeah, it's not really like the best way, because when you're not prepared and you don't have a plan and you don't have strategy, the chances are it's not going to go well. You know, imagine you just rocked up at your first Ironman and you were like, yeah, I mean, I've done a couple runs, but like, let's just see how it goes, you know? Someone told me I could do it. Someone told me to just visualize myself. Hey, Gail, visualize yourself finishing Ironman. Visualize your wall with all the Post-it notes and the hundreds of people in your launch. Just visualize it, you know? Imagine you said that. Someone told me to just visualize it. I've done a couple runs, but I'm sure this is going to be amazing, you know? You would probably hurt yourself. You know, it's not a good idea. It's not going to go well. So I love that, you know, immaculate preparation.
And always show up as if it's, I mean, I have shown up to some gigs as prepared as if I'm the guest artist on the Tonight Show. Okay. I'm dressed impeccably. I've done my voice exercises in the car. All right. I've done some Zen. I've gone through my 5-minute set, maybe 100 times that day, not 100, maybe 20 times that day. I'm focused, I'm everything. And I walk in and I'm the first comedian there. I finally go on stage and there's only 6 people in the audience, of which 3 people are with the DJ. So there's only 3 people in the audience, and my mic cuts out while I'm in. Okay. The point is, I showed up as if I was on the Tonight Show, and I will always show up as if I'm on the Tonight Show. I've played Chitanyamas in Cosmo City, all right, and as if I'm on the Tonight Show, and I will always be there, and because that's where success comes from, and also small success is still success. I made 3 people laugh. That's 100% laugh rate.
Yeah,
I'm taking it. I'm taking it.
We gotta take those wins. Hey? Oh, cause I could talk to you for hours. It's just an absolute, really an honor to be your friend, but also to have you here with us and sharing a bit of your stories. Definitely not all of the story, but I think you've dropped some like bombs of wisdom in this episode. People will have to listen to this over and over again. I know I certainly will. Gail, anything you want to add or ask before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I just thank you, Costa, for coming on. As I said, Cans and I, the reason we did this podcast is we kind of want to get to the bottom of what allows people to have that grit and that determination, what sort of characteristics we're looking for. And maybe if you don't exactly possess those characteristics, like what can people take away? What can they focus on, And I think you just gave some such actionable ideas and tips. Like, I know this weekend I couldn't sleep on Friday night, and so at 2 o'clock in the morning I'm wide awake, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what, I'm not going back to sleep, so I'm just going to sit and I'm going to plan out my YouTube channel. Now, Cans will know that YouTube has been like a bit of a bugbear for me. Like, I say, yes, I'm going to do it, and then I don't do it. And then, yes, I'm going to do it, and don't do it. And, I was just sitting there thinking, in 10 years' time, if I started now and I posted once a week, in 10 years' time, I could have whatever, $1,000, $2,000 passive income coming in 10 years' time. That means that I can, it'll be our retirement money. It will be so like, we all think that everything must happen like right now. I want the YouTube channel, I want 1,000 subscribers, I want my affiliate links going out. But actually, you know what? It's that long game. It's looking towards the future and knowing that this is what we're going to do, and it's going to take commitment and focus. And so, yeah, it was lovely chatting with you. I could see so much of what I need to do in what you were saying.
Yeah, amazing.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Gail and Candace, and good luck with all your work with the social funnel.
Thanks. We will drop all the links for where you can find Costa, his book. Oh, I don't know why my video keeps cutting out. There we go, I'm back. Where you can find his book, where you can find him on socials, where all the good stuff. We will drop that in our show notes, or wherever you're watching this or listening to this, you will find links somewhere. But yeah,
Thank you.
guys, thank you so much, guys. We will catch you
Thank
next
you.
week for another episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.